Nioh 2 is a game that is heavily reliant, or rather revolves heavily around melee combat. What makes Nioh 2's melee combat so unique compared to other RPG games or action combat RPG games is that it allows the player to switch between three stances. Those, of course, being the high, the medium, or rather mid, and low stance. And these are all very important to gameplay. As you can see, this skill chart or skill tree also is very reliant on that stance system. Having the high stance will have certain passives and combos and skills unlocked, while having the low stance will also have different ones. Basically, each stance has their own purpose and functionality in the game. The high being the one that does the most damage and has the most damage-oriented skills, the mid stance being the one that is the most defensive, and the low being more centered around low stamina consumption and low damage, but also high mobility. As you can see, there is a mechanic that has the player do basically a timed event to recover stamina that they use. If they don't press it, the stamina just goes to waste. As you can see, it's that red bar that appears in my stamina. But what's unique about this system is that it also allows for a unique functionality, where if the player is switching between stances during this timed event, it allows the player to recover even more stamina. And this is just what I'm talking about when you think about how intertwined with the gameplay it is. And yeah, so aside from the obvious switching and recovering key, or the stamina bar, rather, the other functionality that it serves is the amount of stamina that's used. If I'm using the high stance, you deal a significant amount of extra damage, but you also use the most amount of stamina. And this kind of relationship kind of goes hand in hand as you go through each of the stances. So, for example, the high, obviously, as I mentioned, having the most stamina and most damage, and as you go to the medium stance, then the stamina and damage go a little bit lower. And then when you go to the low stance, they reach the lowest point, which that being that the consumption of stamina and damage output are the least amount. And this is all very important to the gameplay, as having stamina is one of the most important features in this game. So managing your stamina becomes a really important feature. Aside from that, the animations and stuff also differ in each stance. The high stance obviously having a lot slower animations, and then it goes from that to the medium, and then the low having the fastest animations. But that about covers the stance system.